I'm Sean Murphy, Director of the SAGE Institute, and I'm going to share with you some basic meditation instruction today. So the first thing I'd like you to do is to make yourself comfortable. You can sit in a cross-legged position on the floor, or you can sit in a chair. Some people like to use a kneeling position. Anything that's comfortable is the most important thing. I would ask you to try and keep your back roughly straight. If you need to have some support, that's fine to do that, so you can lean against the back of a chair or wall, but it helps to have the spine more or less erect. And let's just take a couple of cleansing breaths, a few deep breaths, and on the exhale, just invite the body to relax. One way to understand what meditation is it's the practice of the present moment. It requires putting our attention as completely as we can manage in the present moment. The reason being, the present moment is the only place our life actually happens. So we let go of past thinking, we let go of future thinking, and depending on technique you use, in this case we use the breath, we use some kind of anchor to keep us linked to the present moment. The basic instruction is just to stay, in this case, with the breath. And when we notice the mind drifting elsewhere, we catch ourselves as soon as we can and bring the attention back to the breath. And it doesn't mean that you can't do meditation if you're not able to keep your attention completely on the breath all the time. Almost nobody can do that, especially not early in the practice. So there's a process of training which involves noticing when we're thinking and bringing the attention back. And that's actually an important part of the practice because that's how we train the mind. So, having found a comfortable position and having invited the body to relax, what I'd like us to do is either drop our eyes towards the floor or close them if that's more comfortable. And it's also okay to have them partway open. Just a little bit of light coming in. Whatever's comfortable for you. The hands can be in any position that also feels comfortable for you. Palms up, palms down, whatever works. And we're going to let the breath just come naturally through the nose, unless there's some reason that your nose is blocked or something, in which case you can breathe through the mouth. Otherwise, let it come naturally through the nose. And a common misconception is that the breath needs to be a certain way, deep or smooth or even. And we let the breath handle the breath. So what we do is just invite the breath to be the way it is right now. And we just pay attention to it. Over time, it will tend to smooth out and get deeper, but we don't try to influence that process. We just let it be. So I'm going to ring the bell 3 times to start, and we'll do about 15 minutes, at the end of which I'll ring the bell twice to finish. And once we start, I'll give some more instruction. So again, eyes drop towards the floor, body is comfortably upright, not strained. Inviting the breath to come naturally through the nose. Let the tongue rest against the roof of the mouth, gently behind the top front teeth. This helps to prevent us from getting caught up in extra swallowing. And we're going to let the attention drop out of the little control tower in our heads and into the body. I'd like you to find a place in the body where the sensation of breath feels prominent. it's important that we physically experience the sensation of the breath. So it might be in the chest, it might be in the lower abdomen. You might have an overall feeling within the body of the breath coming and going. People experience it different ways. For now, whatever works, just letting the attention drop into the breath. And it helps to take an interest in the breath, to have an inquisitive attitude, not the kind of inquisitive attitude that makes you start thinking about it, but the same kind of attention we'd pay to a beautiful sunset or to the waves coming in at the ocean. You know, we might be very absorbed in watching, fascinated by the spectacle, but not thinking about it. That's the attention we want to pay to the breath. And remembering, we do this because it's an anchor to the present moment. So we might notice the feeling of an in-breath is very distinct and feels very different from the out-breath. And the out-breath feels very different from the pause before we take an inhale. The in-breath feels very different from the pause we take when the lungs are full before we exhale. So there's actually 4 distinct areas of the breathing, and we just want to carry our attention through that whole cycle. It can become very absorbing and also very, there's a feeling of calmness and rejuvenation that can come by paying that kind of attention to the breath. After all, children up to a certain point, as well as all the animals and other creatures that share the earth with us, live primarily in the present moment, and they don't seem to have the same kind of issues that we adult humans do. So in this practice, we return to the present moment, and generally people find that calming, rejuvenating, clarifying. Just letting ourselves sink into the breath. And just doing our best to keep the attention there. When we find ourselves distracted, which is usually by the thinking mind, then we just try to notice the thought, acknowledge it, without fighting, cutting it off, suppressing. We just point the attention back to the breath. If we have to do that many, many times, that's fine. That's how we practice. It means we're doing it right. If we only catch ourselves after several minutes of thinking, that's fine too. That happens to everyone. It's all a part of the practice. So we'll try this for the next 10 minutes or so, mostly in silence, although I may make a few comments. Just keeping our attention with the physical experience of breath in the present moment, and doing our best when we catch ourselves caught up in thought to just point the attention back to the breath. if you should happen to notice a certain focused feeling of stillness becoming available, just let yourself sink into that and notice that it's enjoyable. Finding the enjoyment in meditation practice, which is the same kind of quiet, subtle enjoyment we might get from relaxing in a warm bath. A kind of quiet, calm stillness. So it's available. Let yourself sink into it and enjoy it. It's a powerful motivator to keep practicing. So let's open our eyes or look up and take in our surroundings. So that's our introduction to meditation practice. I hope you've found it useful. And it's a simple practice. It's not necessarily easy, but if you practice it over time, you begin to see the many benefits of meditation manifesting in your own life. So it's been a pleasure practicing with you. Thank you.